Welcome to our kitchen. Today we're gonna make Jamaican brown stew chicken. So we lived in Florida for a couple of years, and one of those years was in Miami, Florida. And if you've ever been to Miami, you know Jamaican food, any kind of Caribbean food or food that's inspired by the islands, like Cuban food, of course, Puerto Rican food, Dominican food, Haitian food, Bahamian food, all of those foods that are inspired by the island, because Miami is so close to the Caribbean, is so accessible. But fast track, now we live in Colorado Springs, Colorado. And there's a few Jamaican restaurants here, and I would say they've been good. Some of them not my favorite. I definitely have some that are more of a favorite, but we're not going to have to rely on just going to a restaurant to have Jamaican brown stew chicken, because we're going to learn how to make it right here today in our very own kitchen. So I want you to set this video up in your kitchen on your counter, and we're going to do this thing together. I'm going to show you step by step on how to make Jamaican brown stew chicken. Now I will say, Jamaicans, please have a little grace with me, because I am going to use a couple of substitutions, not too many. I'm going to respect the dish and its authenticity, but just a couple to make the process a little bit simpler. But if you want to learn how to make Jamaican brown stew chicken, and you like to cook, and you like traveling and just bringing the world to your table, that is what this video is here for you for, so that we can bring those delicious flavors from around the world to our very own table. So if you want to learn how to make Jamaican brown stew chicken, continue watching, and let's wash our hands and let's get started. Okay, so now that our hands are clean, we have vinegar. As you can see, vinegar here. And we have lemon. And I also have a couple of limes as well. But the purpose of this is to, of course, clean our chicken. Now, as you can see, these chicken pieces are smaller. I did cut them in half just to make the portions, more portions for the chicken. But they're just drumsticks. Of course, you can use a whole chicken and cut it up in pieces. I just had drumsticks, so I cut those drumstick in half to make smaller portions. I just find that the flavors make it a little, they penetrate and marinate the chicken better when the portions are smaller like this. So now we are going to clean the chicken. And don't worry, I know I grabbed that vinegar again after I just touched the chicken. But guess what? We're using the whole bottle. So that's why I did. I'm not cross-contaminating. I'm going to wash my hands real quick just because we touched that piece. I'm going to, now I washed my hands, get that chicken off of me, and I'm going to put some lemon juice in here. Like I said, this is for the purpose of cleaning the chicken. There's just film. I don't know if it's, what it is, but just to make sure there's not any enzymes, all of that nasty stuff that's on chicken, like the little sticky film that's usually on the underneath between the skin and the meat. So we're gonna get that all cleaned out. All right, so now on to the ingredients that we're going to use to season our chicken. Of course, we have salt, we have pepper, we have smoked paprika, we have ground onion, we have garlic, and we have Italian seasonings here. This has just got different herbs in it. And Now, I did mention I'm going to use some substitutions. So this is one of them. It's allspice. I don't have access. Well, I'm not sure if I have access or not. I did not see it at my local store. But the traditional recipe calls for pimentos, but I am going to use allspice. I'm sure you could also use cloves as well. That would be another great substitution. But I'm going to use allspice, which is going to give you a very similar flavor component that the pimentos offer. We're going to use habanero instead of Scotch bonnet. That's another substitution that I mentioned. Habanero is another very hot, smoky pepper, and so it's going to be a great substitution for our Jamaican brown stew chicken. I'm not going to add them in right away. I'm going to add them towards the end, and I'm not going to cut them. I'm going to pop them in whole. The reason for that is I have people in my home that do not appreciate the heat the way that I do, and I don't want to kill anyone by making it too spicy where they can't enjoy it. So it's a happy compromise where I'm not killing anyone and I'm still getting to enjoy my spice. So I'm going to add that towards the end of the dish. We also have rosemary, and we have thyme. We have green onion or scallions. We have green bell pepper. Of course, you could use red or yellow as well. I'm using green today. That's what I have on hand. We're using yellow onion, and we have ginger root. I am going to add carrots to mine. I'm not a big fan of butter beans, and Jamaican brown stew chicken along with oxtails generally call for butter beans, but I'm going to substitute it with carrots instead. Now, this is what makes it brown stew chicken. This right here, this is browning sauce. So you can find this in your local grocery store. And we're going to use this to season it. It doesn't really have any flavor to it. It's basically just like a dark caramel, I think. But they did actually use, it looks like, carrots, celery, cabbage, onion, parsley, turnips. So there are vegetables in this, but it is basically just browned up to add color. So we're going to use browning sauce, and we're also going to use minced garlic. I love using minced garlic from the jar. You can chop yours if you like fresh chopped garlic better. I just want to make my life easier, and this works great. So this is what we're going to use today to season our chicken, along with Maggi chicken cubes. So this is just going to help enhance the chicken flavor. And we're just going to use like 2 of these little cubes here. But this is just going to enhance that chicken flavor to give it that cooked all day flavor to it. That's going to blow everybody away. All right, so let's go ahead and season this chicken. I'm just squeezing in these Maggi cubes all over the chicken here. And the easiest way to crush these up is just to go ahead and just squeeze them. Just give it a tight squeeze while it's still in the foil, and then dump it in the chicken. And then we're gonna massage. You always want to massage your meat, get those flavors to marry one another. I'm gonna set this to the side. I'm gonna wash my hands. Okay, so now I'm going to add some garlic, like 2 spoonfuls full. Garlic is what makes food taste delicious, so you can never have enough. We are going to now add our aromatics. I'm going to peel a few of these off, and I'm going to leave it whole too, as well, just so that we can easily pull it out once we're done stewing the chicken. So I just pulled about I don't know, maybe 2/3 of it off. And the easiest way to pull it off is you just go backwards, the opposite way on the stem. Now I'm going to leave the rest of them on there so it's easy to pull off. And then I'm going to add our thyme. So this is the thyme. And same way, if you want to pull off the leaves individually, then you would just pull the opposite direction from the stem, and that's going to get you those leaves. And I'll throw and discard that one, but the rest of them I'm going to just leave them whole so it's easy to pull them out once we're done stewing the chicken. So now I'm going to peel our ginger. Now when you're using a knife, be very careful with it. But I'm going to go ahead and get this ginger peeled. We're not going to use this whole thing. We're going to probably use about half. Just because ginger is a very, very strong ingredient. A little bit goes a long way. So that's peeled. And now I am going to use this half here. I'm going to set that aside and we'll save that for another time. And I'm just going to slice this up and then I'm going to go the opposite way and dice it. And then I'm just going to go over one time, just get it really nice and small. So we don't have any huge ginger chunks inside of our dish. And cutting it like this also releases the juices and the aromatics from the ginger, so it's going to add a lot of flavor. So I'm going to go ahead and just dump that into the chicken here. Okay, and set those aside for later because we're not using them just yet. We're going to cut our onion. So a little tip for onion is, of course, when you're taking the skin off, I cut both ends and then slice down one of the sides. That's going to be an easy way to skin it. And another tip, if you don't want to cry, a good way tip to use for onions is to pop them in the freezer before you're getting ready to cook, or I always store my onions in the fridge, in the vegetable tray, and that always prevents me from crying. I never cry. So, but popping them in the freezer for a minute before you get ready to chop is definitely going to reduce some of that onion aroma that makes you cry. So I'm going to slice this in half. Another tip of slicing onions is you can slice them in half like this. And then, of course, and always keep your fingers away from the knife, I'm going to go down and I'm going to slice down vertically on the onion that is chopped. And then I'm going to go in horizontally. I'm going to put my hand on top of the onion like this, fingers out of the way, since we have a sharp knife. And I'm going to go in horizontally with about 3 cuts deep. And now I'm going to slice down again on the onion, and you got a perfectly diced onion. And of course, there's a little bit of a piece on the end that did not follow the pattern of the dice, so we'll just go ahead and dice that ourselves. And I'm going to continue and repeat with this onion, this half of the onion, the same process. Okay, so now we're gonna do the same process with our bell pepper. The way I cut bell peppers is I just cut off the top here. And I'm gonna keep this because this is bell pepper meat that is perfectly still in good condition. I'm just gonna take out the stem. And to get the insides out, I'm gonna just grab it out just like that. See how easy that is? With all the seeds out of it as well. I'm gonna go ahead and slice that in half. And we're gonna dice this also. Okay, so now we're gonna go ahead and hit this with the browning sauce. And I will leave exact measurements, but I probably use about 1/4 of cup maybe, or like 3 tablespoons. But we are going to go ahead and massage that in to all of our aromatics, to our vegetables, to our chicken. And we are going to get it all nice and covered with that browning sauce. So traditionally you would do this the night before and you would let it marinate so that all those flavors can penetrate deeper into the chicken. But for the sake of this video, we are doing it in real time. So it's okay that we didn't marinate it. It does taste better though, the longer that you marinate it, or at least if you marinate it, you know, like an hour before you cook. But of course, all those flavors together on the chicken, it's gonna be delicious regardless. All right, now we got our pan nice and hot. We have been letting our chicken sit with all its aromas and with the onion, with the all the seasoning. So now we're gonna put some oil in the pan. I'm using olive oil. It's not specific to olive oil though. I'm just using that as a healthier option, but you can use, you know, any type of oil of your choice. Coconut oil would probably be really good with this if you're looking for something lighter. And I'm gonna put some brown sugar in the oil. Burning the oil. And all this is going to do is just get our oil nice and golden so that when we sear our chicken separately inside of the oil, it's going to give it a nice golden brown coating. It's not going to make it super sweet or anything. This is just really to add more layers to that brownness of the chicken, hence why the dish is called brown stew chicken. All right, so now it is ready for us to start searing it. I'm gonna get it nice and golden. Okay, so I got my first batch of chicken in the pan, and I don't want to overcrowd it. So if you have to do 2 batches of searing your chicken, that's completely fine. You just don't want to overcrowd your pan. Anytime you overcrowd your pan when you're frying, it's not going to fry. And then the water and the juices from the chicken are going to be released, and it's not going to give you that golden color that you're looking for. So I'm going to just do 2 batches. But as you can see, it's already looking like that brown stewed chicken. Of course, this is just like the first part of the process, but this step is very important because it's not only going to brown your chicken, but it's going to lock in all those flavors that we seasoned it with. All right, so we got our chicken all brown. See how beautiful that chicken is. It is nice and golden and brown, actually, not golden, but it looks beautiful. So I'm gonna set that to the side. And now that we got that all browned, we're gonna go ahead and go in with our aromatics and our vegetables, our onion, our garlic, our carrots, and our herbs. We're gonna take that and we're gonna saute it in that same oil that we took the chicken out of, and that's gonna help pull up all of those flavors. The water from the vegetables, like the onion and the carrot, is gonna help pull up all those flavors from the bottom of the pan from the chicken, and we're gonna go ahead and get that sauteed. All right, so we're also gonna hit it with some ketchup. I forgot to add this in the ingredients at the beginning of the video, but you want like maybe 3 tablespoons, we'll say, of ketchup. That's just gonna add a tomato flavor to it and a little bit of a sweetness that is in the flavor. Okay, so now that we got this sauteed with the vegetables and the aromatics, now we're gonna add our chicken back in to the stew. Make sure to get all those juices redistributed back into the pot. Mix it up. And we're just gonna add a little bit of water. Not a lot. You don't need a lot because the chicken has water. But I'm gonna say maybe like a 1/4 cup of water because the chicken is going to release water as it cooks as well. And you wanna keep all that flavor that you work so hard to marinate the chicken with. We don't wanna water it down. This is a very rich dish and we wanna keep it that way. So, and we want that gravy to develop, and it's gonna develop with the juices from the chicken. All right, so now that that is cooking, we are going to put the lid on it. Don't touch it, just let her simmer, and we're gonna let it cook. I'm gonna turn the heat down to medium-low. Medium-low is always the best temperature when you're making any kind of stews or anything savory that you want to simmer and stew. Medium-low is going to be your best friend, and so I'm going to have that on medium-low with the lid, and we're going to check on it periodically to stir it, but we're just going to let this simmer for about 45 minutes, and we'll come back and check on the final result. All right, so now we're going to make the perfect pairing, and that's going to be the rice and peas, or also red beans and rice. With the rice and peas, like I said, I'm going to use a little substitution. I'm actually going to use canned red kidney beans instead of from scratch. The traditional recipe calls for, you know, you to use beans and you boil those first. We're gonna scratch that step and just make it a little bit simpler of a process. So we're gonna use canned beans, and I'm gonna show you the whole process step by step, and let's make rice and peas. So a good way to know if you have enough water for the rice is always good to put your spoon in, and if it is about, let's say, like a half inch in or a fingertip, then you know you have enough water. All right, so now that we've added all of our seasonings, all of our herbs and aromatics and the coconut milk and the peas and the rice, so now it's come to a boil. We're gonna go ahead and just put the lid on it. I'm gonna lower the heat down to a medium low, and we're gonna let that just cook for another 25 to 30 minutes or until the rice is tender. Okay, so our Jamaican brown stew is looking great. I added in a habanero pepper because we're getting towards the end of cooking this dish. But I'm gonna just let that simmer a little bit longer with the habanero. And like I mentioned earlier in the video, that's just a happy compromise, or a compromise if you have people in your home that don't necessarily like hot food or are not used to hot food. That's a good way of, you know, compromising, is just adding the pepper at the end, whole, not cut, so that way all of that spice is not released into the dish, but you still cook the pepper so that you can have it on the side with your serving. So I'm also making this cabbage. I just cut up some bacon, some onion, bell pepper, carrots, put some garlic in it, and I'm just browning this and sauteing it up, and then I'm going to add in the cabbage and saute that all together. And I'm just going to lightly season this with like salt and pepper, since we have so many spices going on in the other dishes. This is just kind of something to add to the side to cleanse your palate, and just it's a nice pairing with the brown stew chicken and the rice and peas. So we're halfway through the cooking process of the rice. I'm gonna go ahead and just pop my habanero in on top. I don't wanna disturb this rice too much. I want it to cook properly, so I'm just gonna pop it in on top. That way it doesn't release all its heat. And again, like I mentioned before, it gives me spice, but it keeps the spice away from those that don't want it. All right, so our brown stew chicken is done. I'm gonna go ahead and just turn this heat off, let it cool for just a moment because it's super hot. But as you can see, it's nice and brown. We have that gravy from the ketchup, from the brown stew, for the browning sauce, and from our aromatics and our onion and all of the delicious ingredients that we put into it. All right, so our rice and peas are done. I'm just fluffing the rice now. That's why you wanted to clean the rice very well, because you wanted to get all that gluten off of it. That makes the rice sticky, so that it would stick to the peas, and also so that it was dry, so that you're not going to get a big glutinous mess, but it's going to make the rice and the beans very distinctive to each other. And so now I did add some green onions in here. I'm going to go ahead and discard that along with the aromatics and the habanero pepper, and then we are going to plate up our dish, and we're going to do the ultimate taste test. Okay, so now we're gonna do our ultimate taste test, and Joey is going to let us know what he thinks of our Jamaican brown stew chicken.
Okay, here we go. So I'm not Jamaican, but I do know Caribbean food, so I'm gonna try this, and I'm gonna try the rice first. Delicious. Now, the vegetables?
The cabbage.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Yeah. And I'm not even a cabbage person. But now, the main thing is the main thing, the chicken. Oh my goodness.
It's good.
Let me have another piece just for y'all. Hey, you got another piece. You know what it reminds me of? Oxtail.
So this is a great alternative for oxtail. If you can't afford oxtail, make Jamaican brown stew chicken. That's the finished result. I'm glad that Joey enjoys it. And if you want more recipes like this, go ahead and like and subscribe. We want to bring more to you. We want to bring the world to your table. So I hope you enjoyed, and bon appetit. All right, so now I'm going to give my taste test and take on it. So this is my plate here. I did add my pepper to my plate. And I have my rice and peas, my brown stew chicken, and our cabbage. So I'm gonna try the brown stew chicken. And like we said, this is a great alternative for oxtail. Wow, that is really good. That is very delicious. You can taste all the herbs and the aromatics in there. I'm gonna try our rice and peas. You can definitely taste how the coconut complements the rice and peas or the beans together. Take another bite of that. And now the cabbage. Nice and subtle, but that bacon adds a little salt to it. But it's nice and subtle to cleanse your palate from all the other spices and herbs from the other dishes. So I hope you enjoyed. Thank you for watching.